All right, today we're going to talk about soft goods with Contents-Pal. So soft goods are different than hard contents in many ways. You typically do the inventory in a different locations. With hard contents, you typically will do the inventory on site. With textiles, you typically do it on the facility. The way you do the inventory is typically different. With hard contents, you do tagged items, boxes, non-salvageables. With textiles, you also do non-salvageables, but you might inventory things differently depending if they're going to be wash, dry, fold, or specialty items. And then the way you process it is also different. However, traditional software treats both as the same. So this forces you to have to fit your soft goods workflow into a hard contents workflow in order to use traditional software in this space. But we built Textile Mode, which is what I'll show you today to fix this. And this is the first solution specifically built for soft goods restoration workflows. So the way it works is once you enable Textile Mode, your options at the bottom of your app will change. Usually you have tagged items, boxed, and non-salvageable as the options to do the inventory. But if you're in Textile Mode, you will have bulk, single, and pack as the buttons at the bottom of that screen. Bulk is for wash, dry, fold items, so you charge by weight. Single items is for the specialty items, so those are items you want to inventory one by one. They typically have upcharges, require dry cleaning, and so on. And then the pack option is once you're done cleaning those items, you can pack them back. So typically bulk items will be packed in a box. Single items, specialty items will be packed in a garment bag. So I'll talk a little bit about the workflows. So wash, dry, fold items are typically inventoried in bulk, as I said. So the typical process will work as follows. At the property, your team will be adding the textiles into bags and potentially having bags per room. And then once you're back at the facility, you'll have a sorting area where you'll be taking the clothing out of those bags and inventorying it in bulk. So typically you will put that in a scale, in a bin in a scale, and you will take a picture of the clothing and you will annotate how much it weighed. Then you'll go and process this. And then once you're done, you will pack it back into a box. And sometimes you may want to take a picture of the items packed and so on and add a label so you can track it in the chain of custody. So when you use Contents-Pal to do this, at the time of inventorying in bulk, AI will read the scale automatically. So you get that weight of those items. It will add that load to the inventory. So every time you take a picture of those items in the scale, you'll have a new line item on your inventory with the quantity being the weight of that load. And then it will add the right code on your estimate. So on the estimate, you'll have one line item for CDCAV with the total weight for all of the loads that you did. So in the inventory, you'll have a line item per picture you take of that load, but then on the estimate, you have only one line item with a CDCAV code. So at the time of pack back, you can add those items to a box, add a label, and again, AI helps you keep track of that through the chain of custody, and it also adds the consumables and so on to your estimate. And we'll go over this on the more detailed videos for each one of these steps. But when you're doing pack back, you're going to the pack mode. And again, we'll do that in the next video. But then as an overview, let's go over the specialty items. So again, like bulk items, at the property, you typically will add all the textiles into bags. And then once you're back at the facility, you will sort it into wash, dry, fold, and specialty items. So we've already covered how you inventory the wash, dry, fold in bulk. For the specialty items, you typically want to take pictures of the items individually. Then you process those items either with hand wash, dry cleaning, whatever the process is most appropriate. And then at the time of pack back, you will add those QR codes so you can keep track of those garments. Again, with AI, the way it works is at the time of the sorting and inventorying, when you take a picture of those items, AI will identify what it is. It will document it like it typically does when you use Contents-Pal regularly. And it will find the right Xactimate code for that item. It will find all the upcharges needed for that item, and it will add those line items both to the inventory as well as to the estimate. You don't have to take a picture of each garment individually, you can also use multi-mode, and then it will capture multiple, pieces of clothing at once from a single image. But I do recommend if it's if it's a very nice suit or dress or blouse or whatever, I recommend having a single picture for it. So not doing multi-mode, but taking multiple pictures of that piece of cloth, typically of the label, the material, and so on. That way, it will help AI categorize it most appropriately. And then at the time of the packback, so once it's been processed at the time of packback, AI again adds it to the estimate, keeps track of the item in custody, and so on. So, and again, these are the screens. We'll go over them in more detail in the next video. But essentially, when you're in the sorting, you will select single mode, and then that's what lets you capture those items one by one or multiple at once. And then at the pack back, you just select the garment bag, and you can take pictures of the items in the garment, put a QR code on it, and so on. To wrap up, the benefits of using AI for soft goods are multiple, but at a high level, you will see faster cycle times, obviously, because you don't have to spend as much time documenting. This translates into higher margins because you spend less time per item. You have better Xactimate codes because AI will identify the right one, especially with the upcharges. It might be hard for someone to know all the different 1,600 codes you have available on Xactimate, but AI helps you find the right one so you don't leave money on the table. You have, in general, better documentation because you can take the pictures, AI will annotate it, it will give you the very detailed inventory like you're used to with our hard contents features. And this translates into less adjuster pushback. And that's always good because less pushback means you get paid faster. And then in general, faster documentation means that the sooner you can send out that inventory and that estimate, the sooner you get paid. So with that, in the next video, we'll go over how you do each one of these processes, how you use the app in bulk mode, how you use the app in single mode, and how you pack items back. And we'll also cover how you review the inventory, how you review the soft goods on your custody tab, and how you review the estimate.